Jackson, that's one take after our Ramona Shelburne broke the news early Wednesday that Phil Jackson is on his way out as the Knicks president today. Unable to turn the franchise into a winner after 3+ years, Brian Windhorst on Jackson's Knicks legacy. If on Wednesday clarity is redefined as Phil Jackson is fired, what would his legacy be as a New York Knick, given what he did as a player and then what he didn't do as an executive?
Well, this has been a horrible last chapter of his career. And, maybe he could find another act as a consultant somewhere, but this isn't what he wanted this to be. He did this job for the money. He was very happy in retirement. He was looking to be a president somewhere, but certainly not at a position like this. And he did it because they offered him so much money over 5 years that he couldn't say no. And basically what he's going to probably walk out of this with is a lot of money and a tarnished reputation. He's still going to have his 11 rings. He's still going to be one of the greatest coaches of all time. But he could go down as one of the worst executives of all time over these 3 years.
Money can't buy you love. Brian Windhorst. All right, as a head coach, Phil Jackson made the postseason in all 20 seasons, but he failed to guide the Knicks to the playoffs in his 3 full seasons as team president. Did not go as planned. Remember, he won a title with the Knicks as a player. Knicks have gone 90 and 171 since Jackson became team president in March of 2014. That's the 5th worst win percentage in the league over that span, ahead only of the Nets, Timberwolves, Lakers, and Sixers. Breaking news, and this is a big one. Phil Jackson appears to be on his way out soon, as in Wednesday morning in New York as president of the Knicks. Our Ramona Shelburne with this tweet: Knicks and President Phil Jackson expected to announce that they're parting ways early Wednesday morning. That was Ramona's tweet. And joining us now on the phone is Ramona Shelburne. And Ramona, late Tuesday night, clarity expected in the Knicks situation. Early Wednesday morning, for the sake of clarity, what do you know?
Well, look, I think this all accelerated very quickly on Tuesday, and a lot of these conversations went deep into the night to the point where, I think it sort of became clear what was going to happen here. And, Adrian Wojnarowski from The Vertical had a report out saying that they were that James Dolan had been having conversations and thinking about Phil Jackson's future, and obviously once one report or any whiff of that gets out, everything else sort of falls into place, right? As you're a reporter, but I think this all happened, quite frankly, very quickly, late Tuesday afternoon and into the evening in New York.
Why now?
Well, look, this week the Knicks sort of had a decision to make, and that was whether or not to buy out Carmelo Anthony. And the idea, Mark Stein reported this earlier today, that Carmelo Anthony had asked the Knicks if they would buy him out, and the idea was that he would get a buyout and go to a contender, presumably Cleveland. And the Knicks are absolutely not going to do that. He has 2 years remaining on his contract, and that no trade clause that we obviously we've been talking about for quite some time. And so there's no end to the stalemate. Like, if you're not going to buy him out, and there's no way he will agree to a trade, I just think Phil Jackson and the Knicks could not see a future where all of them were back in that sort of toxic triangle we've been in for the past year. At the start of next year, it was affecting the entire team. It was affecting the entire organization. It was affecting Kristaps Porzingis and the conversations there. I mean, my understanding is that the situation with Carmelo Anthony sort of, affected that entire locker room and Phil's ability to lead them in the way that he wanted to, in the direction he wanted to. And I think there came a point where everybody involved just kind of realized if Phil is not going to stay in this role beyond the 2 years remaining on his deal. So he had 2 years remaining. Carmelo, you had 2 years remaining. If he wasn't going to stay in that role beyond the 2 years, and I don't think he had any plans to do that, he's 71 years old right now, then I think they got to a point where you don't want to have a whole other year begin like this with this cloud hanging over them. And at the end of the day, Carmelo had the no trade clause. Contractually speaking, he didn't have to go anywhere.
There's one school of thought that Phil Jackson kind of forced the Knicks' hand, that this is what he wanted. Where do you stand on that?
I didn't get that. I really felt, that he was working all the way to the end. I think the difference here is that maybe he's not a front office guy. Maybe a lot of the things that Phil was doing, they play differently when he's coaching. I mean, I knew him in L.A. really well here with the Lakers, and the way he would coach through the media and needle guys and poke guys. That's one thing when they see you every day, and that's one thing when they talk to you and hear you, and it's another thing when you show up at practice every once in a while and you're up in the suite and you're up in the stands and they don't really know you and they don't have that trust and connection. And that was the one thing Phil always had, is that connection to his guys and that ability to get them to all be going in the same direction and rooting for each other, that teamwork and camaraderie. You can't have that as an executive. It's really hard. If anything, it's the opposite as an executive, where you're not supposed to get attached or connected. And so some of the same tactics that he used as an executive to try to move things in the way he wanted them really they land very differently when you're in that spot than they were when you were a coach.
It's no secret that the Carmelo Anthony-Phil Jackson relationship was bad, but how much played into this decision by the Knicks and James Dolan when the Porzingis situation apparently went south over the exit interview?
Yeah, I believe that Phil was trying to teach Porzingis the lesson. I think he was trying to say, hey, listen, this is not something that you can just blow off. I think it was a difficult position for Porzingis to be in, always being put in the position to say, what do you think of the triangle? What do you think of Carmelo? What do you think of Phil? That's a hard position for a young player to be in, and I think he just didn't want to answer those questions publicly or privately, and so he bolted. But that was not okay with Phil, and I think Phil, the entertaining of trade offers and the fact that leaked out, I think that was his way of sort of letting Porzingis know that wasn't okay with him. But I'll tell you this, I heard this week that he was still thinking of ways of repairing that relationship, of reaching out to him directly. I think he was even thinking of making a trip out to see Porzingis this summer to connect with him man-to-man on his own turf. And so, like I say, I don't think he was trying to get himself fired, because he was working, and I want to say the word coaching, but he wasn't coaching, obviously, in this role as an executive. But maybe that was the problem all along. He wasn't coaching.
Ramona Shelburne, when it comes to the end of Phil Jackson's run with the Knicks, her information is better than yours.
No.
Nervous, scared?
No. I live my life like every day is the last.
Manny Pacquiao needs to fight like it's his last fight on Saturday. That's because his trainer says if Pacquiao loses, maybe it should be his last fight. Freddie Roach says if Jeff Horn beats Pacquiao, Pacquiao should consider retirement. But if he wins, Roach is hoping for a rematch with Floyd Mayweather if Mayweather wants it. First, though, there's Horn. He represented Australia, got to the quarterfinals at the 2012 Olympics. He'll be fighting at home in Brisbane before more than 50,000 fans, most of them supporting him. He's got 11 knockouts in his 17 pro fights. He's 29, but still a big underdog against the 38-year-old Pacquiao. Joe Tessitore spoke with both fighters.
Do you expect the kind of fight that will deliver on that, a war the way they are saying it'll be?
Because I think they say that because they feel how we work hard in training, how we focus, and especially Freddie Roach, he knows me. He knows me well, how I train hard. He knows my capability to, my determination and my focus for this training camp.
When you clip guys, it is over. But how do you execute on that when it's Manny Pacquiao you're standing up?
Yeah, I have a good right hand. Usually the opponents can't see that punch coming on me, but to get Manny Pacquiao with it's going to be different. He's fast, he's a little bit shorter, so I'm used to fighting a little bit bigger guys. So the timing's going to be different with Pacquiao, but hopefully I can get it.
How much do you expect to draw upon this crowd, 50,000 of your locals at the venerable rugby stadium?
Look, I'm going to be drawing as much energy as I can. As I said, this is how I perform my best, where all the pressure and I've got all those people supporting me on the day. I've never fought in front of a crowd like that. This is the first time, and I cannot wait.
Pacquiao, the only fighter to ever win world titles in 8 different weight classes. He's also one of 6 fighters to win the BWAA Fighter of the Year at least 3 times, joining Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, Sugar Ray Leonard, Evander Holyfield, and Floyd Mayweather.
I love exercise. I feel tired if I don't get exercise every day. I have to do exercise. Even though I'm too busy in my office, still I have time to work out. Getting at this age, the recovery of your body is not like when you are young. You have to balance. After the fight, to be still hungry when you start training. Every day, no boxing at all. Playing basketball, jogging, sprint, sit-ups, any sport except boxing. When you are in Brisbane, it's a beautiful place. I mean, your mind relax. Shine, the people are very hospitable and friendly. They love to exercise. That's what I like here. I need to work hard for this fight. I'm fighting in his hometown. I know that Jeff Horn is looking for a good fight, so I don't want to fight in the ring with, not 100% condition. I always work hard in training because I always consider every opponent is going to be a hard fight.
Horn's the #1 contender. Pacquiao, the WBO welterweight champion. They get it on Saturday night. Battle of Brisbane. Coverage down under starts at 9 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Deportes. You can also see it streaming live on the ESPN app. Hey, in 1992, you couldn't turn on the TV without seeing Olympic hopefuls Dan and Dave. Stick around, you'll see them here too.
I was telling some kids that were way too young to remember. I said, man, we were so famous, we went on the Arsenio Hall show.
And that's when you had to be big back then to go on Arsenio.
Who, of course, went to Golden State and won a title. They gave him that much more space and that many more touches. Is that pretty much the explanation of how he had the season that he had?
Well, some people are going to use it. You got to also look at the high level of motivation that he possessed. Kevin Durant flat out disrespected him by departing from Oklahoma City because it gave the impression that, you know what, I can't win with Russell Westbrook. And that's the kind of shrapnel of criticism that Russell Westbrook had to be subjected to throughout this season, where he was answering question after question after question until he got so acerbic that people knew better than to ask him. But in the end, having that chip on your shoulder, wanting to prove that you were a legit bona fide superstar in this league was mission #1. It's not his only mission because he's a winner and he's going to strive to try and capture a championship. But it was somewhat, similar to Kobe Bryant when Shaquille O'Neal left. Kobe Bryant wanted to establish that he was nobody's little brother, that he was that dude. And I think that that's what Russell Westbrook was doing this year. But in the end, Kevin Durant ended up winning the title in Golden State. So the move looks sublime where he's concerned, and Russell Westbrook still has a mountain to climb because Kevin Durant got the most important award, and that was a championship trophy. Russell Westbrook is still searching for that.
Paul George becomes a free agent next summer. He's already indicated he doesn't want to stay with the Pacers. So where does George wind up?
Well, he's obviously indicated that he doesn't want to stay with the Pacers, which has put them in a bind, so he can't stay there. They've got to make a move this summer because they can't open the season with him, so they're looking to move him. According to numerous reports, he's told the Los Angeles Lakers that he wants to be there and he intends and practically guaranteed them that he's coming by the summer of 2018, next summer. But from what I heard as recently as a couple of days ago is that he's let word leak to the Cleveland Cavaliers that if LeBron indeed elects to stay in Cleveland, then Paul George won't depart Cleveland as long as LeBron is still there if they pull off a trade and acquire him to Cleveland. So that's really the situation right now. It appears to be the Cavaliers or the Los Angeles Clippers. You hear stuff about the San Antonio Spurs and things of that nature, which he wouldn't mind. He wouldn't sneeze at it. Of course he'd go there, but that would be a one-year rental. Whereas with the Cleveland Cavaliers, it appears it would be more than that if LeBron James stayed. But his ideal landing spot would be the Los Angeles Lakers, despite the fact that they're not contenders right now.
Is this what the Lakers fans and the Southern California experience can come to expect for the foreseeable future?
I don't think so. I mean, LeVar Ball is obviously incredibly eccentric and loquacious. He likes to speak a lot and talk a lot. And you got to give props where it's due. He put his son on the radar, despite the fact that this son was a big-time talent at UCLA. His father certainly did not hurt his cachet, his notoriety, because he received so much more of it because Lonzo Ball, that is, because his father was out there talking about how great he's going to be. Magic Johnson drafted him #2 overall. He said that he expects to see his name in those rafters one day. Showtime is considered en route to being reinvigorated. So you got to take all of those things into consideration, give the man credit where it's due. But I think ultimately when it's time to play basketball, it's going to be about what Lonzo does in that purple and gold. And it's going to be how Magic Johnson evaluates him. His father's not going to be able to talk his way out of anything if his son does not perform at an elite level, because obviously he's got a huge target, a huge bullseye on his back because his father has talked so much about him. Plus, he has the expectations of Laker Nation, because you haven't seen a point guard like this in Los Angeles, arguably, since with the Lakers, that is, because Chris Paul is big time. But you haven't seen it in a Lakers uniform since Magic Johnson departed. That's how people are looking at this. There's huge expectations on the shoulders of Lonzo Ball, and he's got to answer the bell. That's
Anthony, he's got a firm no-trade clause, so he has some control over where he winds up. How do you think this plays out in New York?
Well, I think he departs New York and he ends up in either Cleveland or the Los Angeles Clippers. He's certainly not going to go to a team that's not a playoff contender. He told me that personally on several occasions. Cleveland, with him and one of his best friends, LeBron James, that's instant title contention. With or without him, they're title contenders, but especially with them. And, of course, with the Los Angeles Clippers, he elevates things for them exponentially, and obviously somebody that Jerry West, along with Doc Rivers, would be interested in targeting. He does have a no-trade clause. He does get to dictate to a large degree where he ends up, and I think that's what the situation is. He'll stay in New York before he ends up going to another place that doesn't contend, because he desperately wants to be a New York Knick. But Phil Jackson has made it very clear that's not what the Knicks want. And Carmelo Anthony has to accept that, and so he'll depart, but it has to be for a title contender. And you know, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Los Angeles Clippers are the two most viable candidates as far as he's concerned, with Boston having an outside shot in the number 3 slot.
Paul George becomes a free agent next summer. He's already indicated he doesn't want to stay with the Pacers. So where does George wind up?
Well, he's obviously indicated that he doesn't want to stay with the Pacers, which has put them in a bind, so he can't stay there. They've got to make a move this summer because they can't open the season with them, so they're looking to move him. According to numerous reports, he's told the Los Angeles Lakers that he wants to be there, and he intends and practically guaranteed them that he's coming by the summer of 2018, next summer. But from what I heard as recently as a couple of days ago is that he's let word leak to the Cleveland Cavaliers that if LeBron indeed elects to stay in Cleveland, then Paul George won't depart Cleveland as long as LeBron is still there, if they pull off a trade and acquire him to Cleveland. So that's really the situation right now. It appears to be the Cavaliers or the Los Angeles Clippers. You hear stuff about the San Antonio Spurs and things of that nature, which he wouldn't mind. He wouldn't sneeze at it. Of course he'd go there, but that would be a one-year rental. Whereas with the Cleveland Cavaliers, it appears it would be more than that if LeBron James stayed. But his ideal landing spot would be the Los Angeles Lakers, despite the fact that they're not contenders right now.
All right, these two scenarios adding to what is already going to be a very interesting free agency period that's starting in just a matter of days. Stephen, always a pleasure having you on.
All right, my man. Take care.
And the winner of the 2017 NBA Most Valuable Player Award is Russell Westbrook.
I want to thank my family. I feel myself, I'm going to cry, but my little brother, you mean so much to me. My beautiful wife. Good or bad game, every time I see your face, there's nothing but brighten me up. And I just want to say that I love you. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
That was cool. The loudest jacket and some of the loudest applause at the NBA Awards show went to Monty Williams. He got the Sager Strong Award and the Sager jacket for his courage, faith, compassion, and grace he exhibited to the individual responsible for his wife's death in a traffic accident. I mean, that was really something, man.
Monty Williams, man, he's quite a guy.
Yeah.
And then there was Draymond Green.
He's quite a dresser.
Yeah, I'm not sure how hot it was in New York on Monday, but a lot of basketball players there. In case a pickup game broke out, Draymond Green would just take the jacket off and he's ready to roll.
Go down to the park and show him something.
Russell Westbrook, the most valuable basketball player there in the NBA's MVP. He sat down for a chat with Royce Young.
I'm here with Russell Westbrook, the 2016-17 MVP. I'm sure that sounds pretty good. First off, congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
But secondly, let's talk about what's most important here. Let's get to what matters. How's dad life?
Great. Amazing, man. It's unbelievable blessing, man. My son is A great boy, man. He doesn't cry much. He chills. He stays low key.
That can change quickly.
Yeah, I think that's all my wife's traits.
Okay.
So I think as he get older, he may get a little more wild and start being more like me. But Noah's a great blessing to me and my family, so just thankful to have him.
You know, when we talk about emotion with you, typically we're talking about a different type of emotion on the court. Where'd that come from tonight?
You know, man, it's just, you know, I sat in my room and tried to figure out exactly what I wanted to say. And, you know, I think you don't see how emotional you get until you get up into that moment. And to see my family there and knowing how many things they sacrificed for me, and I'm just thankful to have them here, man. That was very emotional for me.
You're the first player since 1981, Moses Malone, to win an MVP without winning 50 games. You're the 6th seed in the NBA this year. What do you think that says about your season, that you were the guy that was able to break that precedent?
It's a blessing, man. There's always different things throughout the season that you're very, very thankful for, and records being broken. But that one right here is truly amazing. Just humbled by it, to be able to be mentioned with a lot of these guys that got these MVPs, and just thankful for that.
I talked to Troy Weaver earlier in the season, and he said that he thinks you're going to be better next season than you were this season.
Right.
What does better than the guy that averaged a triple-double look like?
I don't know. Better leader. Better teammate, just different things that I can expand on my game to be more efficient, to go out and find ways to help make my teammates better. That's all a part of my game to be able to be successful. And this summer is something I can work on to make sure I come back a better player.
Last question. Did I hear you right? Did you thank the media? Was that?
You know what? You did. You heard it right. You heard it right.
Okay. I just wanted to hear
man. I definitely want to thank the media, man, just for obviously voted me to get this award, but not just that, but I think this year, just the media all across the world, the fans as well, just been able to see, how hard I play every single night. And I think for me, that's the most important thing to know that I don't take nights off, man. I go out and compete every single night at a high level, and I want people to understand how important that is and how much sacrifice and different things sacrifice to do to go out and play like that. So I do appreciate the media noticing that.
Well, congrats, Russ. I'm sure that'll make a nice teddy bear for Noah.
Absolutely.
Maybe he can snuggle with it tonight. So thanks again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Westbrook's MVP season comes, of course, after Kevin Durant left for the Warriors. Westbrook's numbers skyrocketed without Durant this season. He averaged about 10 more points, 5 more rebounds, and 3 more assists than his first 8 seasons with Durant in Oklahoma City.